What it do, Cooks? It's your boy the Hater up in this piece, and it's time for a late Smackdown review. The Hater just forgot that Smackdown was on, so I watched it afterwards. And strangely, I thought this was a pretty decent episode of Smackdown, all things considered. Nothing crazy, but, there were a few things that I thought were pretty nice. So first of all, Smackdown opens up with what happened last week, right? A few problems with the Smackdown off the bat. It's like you already know Roman Reigns is not going to be there, which is really stupid because his return has been completely deflated. Now, like when he comes back, it's going to feel like another return. Why did you even do this at SummerSlam, Why did Roman Reigns even screw Solo Sikoa? The whole point here is Solo Sikoa and the new Bloodline are like, we took care of Roman Reigns. Well, he already cost you the title, so, what about that, cuck? But anyways, the show opens up. We have Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, and they have the Grayson Waller effect, which is just stupid. I don't even know why they have this. Grayson Waller is not fun. He's not good on the mic. He's not entertaining. He's just a jobber, Whatever. Then Cucky Rhodes comes out, and they're talking about how, there's tension between Waller and Theory, which has been going on for like 6 months now. Even before WrestleMania, they were kind of teasing it a little bit. So, it is what it is. Waller plays a video of Owens betraying his friends, which is just what Kevin Owens does. Kevin Owens comes out and he says, they all deserved it, but except for Kofi Kingston. But I'm not going to do it to you, Cody, because we're friends. It was really stupid. It was a bad segment. Nobody cares. At some point, Kevin Owens basically says, let's just skip the process and make this a tag match, right? And pretty much this was a waste of time because it happened the same way anyways, just happened in reverse. Nick Aldis comes out and he's like, all right, we have the tag match set, right? And then he's like, can I go beat them up, Nick? And Nick says, make it quick. Which is so stupid because it's like, what the hell? You're supposed to be the boss. You're supposed to let people just fight for no reason. Imagine if this was real, right? Like Grayson Waller and Austin Theory would be like, what the hell? You can't just send this guy to beat us up, cuck. But anyways, that's what happened. Then we have LA Knight versus Santos Escobar in a pretty decent match. But the match is underpinned by the fact that everybody who knows anything knows, obviously, that Santos Escobar is not going to be the U.S. champion anytime soon, at least. And as a result of that, we can say what we want to say, but the facts speak for themselves. And that's exactly what happened. Even though LA Knight was attacked from behind by Berto and Angel Garza, this led to both of them, as well as Elektra Lopez, being kicked out from ringside, and they had the match. The match ended in a pretty cool spot. Basically, Santos hits like a flying super kick, basically just a flying kick. It wasn't even good, and he tries to perch up LA Knight on the turnbuckle, and LA Knight kicks him down, and then basically what happens is LA Knight does like the LA Knight elbow, but from the top rope. He's in the middle rope, and he springs up, he jumps up to the top rope, does an elbow, hits the BFT, and wins. That was kind of nice to see. The match, for what it was okay, right? It wasn't anything great. I would give the match a C, but whatever, Then we have Naomi, Blair, Davenport. No, sorry. What am I saying? No. Naomi, Bianca Belair, because I wrote it wrong. I wrote Naomi and Blair. Naomi, Bianca Belair, and Jade Cargill versus Blair Davenport, Fry, what's her name? Isla Dawn, and Alba Fire. I wrote Fry for some reason. Who cares? Right. This was actually a pretty fun match. I really enjoyed this. The best part was when Jade Cargill gets the hot tag. She just comes in and she just does what she does, Jade Cargill's a star. She gets a massive pop. Then they tag in Naomi, which, Naomi does her things, hits a split-legged moonsault on one of them. I forget who it was. I think it was on Blair Davenport, and pins her clean, right? It was a good match. It had a lot of good spots, but nothing really crazy aside from Jade Cargill. Like Bianca Belair, she does this handspring moonsault, they call it, but it's really a handspring into a back handspring. It's like a springboard. Like she goes off the ropes and does a handspring, and then she does a moonsault, but then she uses her hands, so it just doesn't feel good. Doesn't seem right. But it was what it was. Then the Bloodline comes out. And basically, Umaga, I literally didn't even mean to do that. Jacob Fatu has a brace on his leg, and he's going to be stripped of the title anyways because the tag team was supposed to be, the Guerrillas of Destiny, which is just this represents a new low in the tag team division, right? The fans chant, "You can't wrestle" to Camacho, and they're completely right. You know what I mean? Basically, this is presented as a promotion. I don't know why they don't just do the Freebird rule, but they don't. They decide to promote Jacob Fatu to like being Solo Sikoa's right-hand man. Basically, he becomes Solo Sikoa's Solo Sikoa, and now the tag team champions are the two other guys, right? He gives the title to Camacho, and like he's just basically there like being retarded. He just has his little pose in his hands, and he's like, "I love you, Tribal Chief." This guy's just complete shit. You know what I mean? Like the idea that this guy's ever going to be a star is just absurd. At this point, anyone who thinks that is just completely wrong. Anyways, this leads to a match between them and the Street Profits. The Street Profits come up, they do their thing. Angelo Dawkins continues to be given a mic for some reason. Just let Montez do all the talking. Like, Montez is not The Miz, he's not The Rock, he's not John Cena, he's not even Booker T. But he's decent enough on the mic. He's 100 times better than Angelo Dawkins. B-Fab also says a few things, which is stupid. I don't even know why she's with them. She doesn't fit at all. But whatever. It is what it is. They have the match. The match ends with one of the worst super kicks I've ever seen in my life. Basically, Jacob Fatu does a super kick to Angelo Dawkins on the outside. And it's just like a horrible super kick. And he does the same to Montez. The guy gets in the ring, and he gets a flatliner from Tama Tonga, right? The flatliner looked completely garbage because his move is supposed to be like a little Jimmy, like a jumping flatliner. But it didn't look as good as when Shelton Benjamin used to do it. It sure as shit didn't look as good as when R-Truth does it. So there you have it, you know what I mean? Like R-Truth has like the best one. The little Jimmy is like the best version of that move. But basically he didn't even jump. He just kind of like did it. It was what it was. Like it was not a great segment. But after the match, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, like they look at Jacob Fatu, and Jacob Fatu says nothing because he's like a retarded, savage. And then they look at Solo Sikoa, who says, "Beat him down." So they beat him down. DIY comes out. Nothing happens. Basically, like Jacob Fatu grabs the legs of Johnny Gargano, and Solo Sikoa just beats them both. Hits a Samoan Spike on both, just to show that they're dominant over the tag team division. But tag team division is such garbage that it doesn't mean anything. It's like it's completely meaningless. Whatever. Good for you. You know what I mean? Then we've got, we see Nia Jax talking with, or listening in on Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. Nobody cares. Basically, we have the final match. It's Cucky, this is his second Smackdown match since he became champion. As the word lifer once put on one of his polls, like he put like there was like a DQ to Solo Sikoa, but that doesn't count, obviously, right? Because it's not presented as a match. You know what I mean? It's not like he has to go out there and wrestle. You know what I mean? Like all these matches where it's like the guy just comes out and then he like low blows the person in the first 2 seconds. It's not a match. You know what I mean? Like you didn't see a match. You didn't see Cody Rhodes wrestle, except for the one time against Carmelo Hayes, which wasn't even on the show today, obviously, and now against Grayson Waller and fucking Austin Theory. But you did get to see Cody wrestle, so that's obviously a plus. Seeing the champion wrestle, no matter who the champion is good. The matches themselves were pretty good. I really like the women's match. I don't really like women's wrestling, but this was pretty entertaining. But I will say this. Kevin Owens is presented as being like, a credible number one contender. We all know he's not, but he's presented as such, right? And Cucky Rhodes is presented as being a credible WWE wrestler, right? And a credible WWE champion. Once again, we all know that's not the case, but nevertheless, he is presented as such, right? And now they're basically feuding with Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, who lost their titles with DIY. Like they're not even like the tag team champions. And they're having trouble beating these two jobbers. This would be the equivalent of having like The Rock team up with Stone Cold, let's say, and they have like trouble beating like Bull Buchanan and Big Boss Man, right? No, what would happen is they would like the match would be basically a competition between Stone Cold and The Rock as to who can do the most damage. That's how that match would be presented, because there needs to be a clear delineation between the different divisions and the different hierarchies that stem from these divisions. So the world champion should have no problem running through every tag team wrestler in a one-on-one match and even in a tag team match. And it's not like Grayson Waller and Austin Theory are presented as a credible tag team, right? They're not a credible tag team. And even the entire point of this segment, Cody Rhodes basically was like, you're not a credible tag team. One of you is going to betray the other real quick, right? When is Austin Theory going to ditch Grayson Waller? You know what I mean? Like, that's like the whole story of this tag team. But despite this, they almost beat the champion and the number one contender. So like tomorrow, right? Tomorrow meaning in the near future, Grayson Waller should be like, I want a title shot, right? It was like, remember that time when like in TNA, they wanted to do like the Dudley Boys versus Sting and Kurt Angle, and they were like, we're going to do like singles matches. It was going to be like Bubba Ray versus Sting and Devon versus Kurt Angle, or the other way around. And it's like, And then they quickly switched it to like a fatal 4-way or some goofy shit, right? The idea is like, this is just not believable, right? Like, I understand you want to push the Dudleys and they're awesome. And this is the Dudleys we're talking about, right? But it's just not believable that the Dudleys would have any chance against Sting and Kurt Angle, who are two of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Now, again, granted, Cucky and Cucky Owens are not two of the greatest wrestlers of all time, but they need to be treated as such regardless of where they stand, right? That's the problem. I'll harken back to this one match. There was a match. It was like a throwaway match on Raw. Basically, when Mick Foley was like, you know, in the tail end of his like real run with the WWE, he went back to being Cactus Jack. And the match was going to be him versus Triple H as Cactus Jack, Hell in a Cell, right? The week before that, it was like The Rock and Cactus Jack versus the New Age Outlaws. The New Age Outlaws, either it was a non-title match, or I think at this point maybe like, no, they must have been. Maybe the Dudleys were the champions at this time because, no, at No Way Out, the Dudleys won the titles. So I could be wrong, you know. I don't remember the exact details. But basically the idea was that this match was not presented as like as any kind of 50-50 type match, right? It was presented as Mick Foley is going to beat the hell out of Billy Gunn and Road Dogg, who, like, especially Billy Gunn, would whoop his ass in like 10 seconds. Billy Gunn would beat The Rock. He'd beat all these motherfuckers. But basically the match ended with Mick Foley doing like several cactus pile drivers and pinning these guys. Basically, he may as well have stacked them, right? Because the point was, we're pushing how dangerous Cactus Jack is. And The Rock is the guy that's around the corner. So with all that being said, we have what we have. And the facts were what the facts were. Cuckolds. But now, like on a throwaway episode of Smackdown, the champion who wrestles once every 3 months, you know what I mean? This guy can barely handle Grayson Waller, who is a jobber with 0 success, and Austin Theory, who is a jobber with 0 success in the last few years, versus Road Dogg and Billy Gunn, who in their own right were like mid-card champions. They're like tag team legends already. They're big, strong guys, especially Billy Gunn, and not Road Dogg really, if we're being honest, right? But it's like, think about like the booking, right? This is an indicative of having no stars. So while I would have given this SmackDown a 5 out of 10, upon thinking about it over, I think I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10, motherfucks. But it could be worse. I will say this. This episode of SmackDown, in my opinion, represents the baseline. This is the minimum level of how good SmackDown should be for it to be considered even watchable, right? Like, if I knew that SmackDown next week is going to be as good as this week, like, there's a 40% chance I'll watch it willingly, right? But if it's not, there's a 0% chance I'll watch it willingly. I'll watch it only to do these reviews. Cucks!